Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast. I've got with me today Robbie Hughes, founder of Dental Excellence, and we'll find out of a lot more as we go through the podcast. And one of the reasons I wanted you to come on is there's two things that we're going to talk about, but one of the reasons I really wanted you to come on was there's very few times where there's a lot of people who talk a good game. And if you look at your Instagram, you talk a good game. We'll come on to that in a sec. So I think it's interesting what you've done. But also, very rarely do people back that up. And I remember walking into your practice. Actually, I met you one time before that in your previous practice. Yeah. But I remember then subsequently coming to see you in your current practice and walking around and thinking, fucking hell, if this is how you're going to do a practice, or if this is how you're going to execute something in a business, this is how you need to do it. And it's not often in life you go through and you walk somewhere and it has that kind of impact on you, because a lot of times people do try to cut corners. They do try to, or talk that great game, and they do some of what they say they're going to do. But I was so impressed with what you did, right? And I want to go into why you did that and the positives of doing that. And I think there'll be some negatives in your industry of doing that. Yeah. Could be wrong, but we'll touch upon it. But let's just go back to the Instagram bit. Because it's a part I've not mastered, right? And we've got a mutual client who's in music, and he always says to me all the time, your Instagram, and this is mine now, bears no resemblance to who you are and what you do. That's what he tells me all the time. Mm-hmm. And I say, I know. And he goes, I can see you kind of doing it, but you're not quite doing it, right? So when I look at your content, you'll have your content. It will be premium content. It will be, I'm guessing, well thought out content. You know, there's a backdrop that has been well thought out. There's captions that has been well thought out. And let's be honest, in your industry, that's probably becoming more done now because you're a leader of doing that. Yeah. Right? But it wasn't being done. So talk me through your Instagram. Why did you go on there? And kind of what's give you the confidence to, I think you've gone 2 footed on it, where I'm still a little bit like, can I, can't I? Yeah. So go on, talk me through that.
I suppose some of it's been a little bit fortunate on when I started on the whole Instagram journey. Yeah. You know, in my industry, when I started pushing Instagram purely as a business, everything I do on Instagram, like you say, it's well thought out. Yeah. It's got a means to an end. It's got a purpose. Everything that we do. That was like back in 2015. So I stumbled across it and the power of it, and then quite quickly realised that, you know, it's a free marketing tool. So we've got to find ways to make the Instagram represent me, who I am, as, you know, the face of the brand, and then more importantly, the brand and the USPs of my brand and what that represents and what makes us so special. Yeah. So it's definitely all strategy. But you, like you say, if you it's all or nothing. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So my own Instagram, I've got a very specific clientele who we're targeting. Yeah. You know, it's relatively young, you know, people who like an element of luxury, who want that sort of perfect smile makeover and can afford the perfect smile makeover. You know, that's quite a niche market. And if I don't put out the right message that, you know, my image is almost the same as theirs, then you're almost not going to get the clients that you're looking for. It's almost got to be that mirror. So that's the purpose of my own sort of Instagram. You know, I'm a young entrepreneur, confident, and what we provide is premium, and hopefully that sort of shouts out in everything that I do and portray myself in on the Instagram. Yeah.
Do you ever get any stick? Do you ever get any pit
all the time, mate? Do you? All the time. Even friends and people that don't know me, what the fuck are you doing here on this boat? But it's got a purpose, mate, and, you know, don't take it too seriously. Yeah. It is what it is, and it works. Yeah. It's worked for a very, very long time. So that's my own personal brand. You know,
was anybody doing that in your industry when you kicked it off or not?
Not many. Not many. It was when we started using it as a business tool and promoting the work that we do. It's a double-edged sword. You know, you're promoting something, you're raising awareness massively for things that you can do in dentistry, which, as you know, dentistry becomes so modernized so quickly, and not many people even still are aware of type of dentistry we can be doing and how it can be a good experience, not a bad experience. Yeah. So it's great for that, raising awareness, educating a large demographic of people, for free. So that's the good side. The bad side is obviously usually people within the industry become quite judgmental.
Yeah.
At first it was looked at as quite probably unprofessional and against the grain.
Yeah.
But time always tells now everyone's doing it. So we've made the right decision, and we forced the industry in the right direction. I believe that's what I've always done. You might not like it at the beginning, but as you say, there's a lot of people following the same strategies as what we've always done.
Yeah, it's a good point. Does it give you? Some people get annoyed. I don't understand this, but some people get annoyed when they see people copying. What do you see that as a compliment? I guess.
Yeah, I always have. I think imitation is the biggest form of flattery, and I see it an awful lot. I get annoyed sometimes when people fail to recognise, where it's come from, like a little bit of acknowledgement from time to time, especially when something's so blatantly obvious or whatever. When I do my teaching now to the industry, I always start my introduction of the people that have influenced me.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's idea is their own idea. It's only an evolved version of somebody else's idea. So, what I've done with my Instagram it was probably just looking at someone else and someone else is in another industry and pushing it forward. Yeah. So it never really annoys me unless, like you say, it's just a failure or arrogance to sort of just appreciate the people that have done it before you.
Yeah.
In your same industry.
It's a great point. People come into our office space, and the one we did in Manchester 6-7 years ago, nobody did it, right? Yeah. WeWork didn't exist. Every time you go into a serviced office now, there's a bar, there's a gym, there's a pool room, but we did it.
Yeah.
And now we just kind of blended in.
Yeah.
And there's like that. I think people would just come in here now and think, well, everybody's fucking got a bar in the thing. Everybody's got and it can get quite frustrating, actually, I think, sometimes. How did you get into dentistry, full stop then? When you was a kid, where did you grow up, first of all?
So I grew up in Wavertree, Liverpool.
Oh, right, yeah.
Just a normal kid.
Yeah.
I was into martial arts from an early age, kickboxing. So the kickboxing from the age of 6, 7, 25 years of my life.
Yeah.
I managed to stay away from my friends when it come to senior school. So all my friends went to a school called Chilwell Comp,
right,
which was quite renowned. Sort of all the lads went there.
Yeah, yeah.
And my parents managed to guide me to a school called the Blue Coat, which was a grammar school. And I was doing well at school, and I got I passed the interviews and stuff to get in. That sort of put me on a whole new track, really, with regards to education. But it was the kickboxing which kept me disciplined, which kept me off the streets, because I was there every night in the gym and I was competing at a very high level. And strangely, it was probably the kickboxing which got me into dentistry.
Right.
Because when I was coming to choosing careers, my school was pushing me towards all the medical subjects because I was relatively achieving good grades at science.
Right.
And I love biology and things like that. And I was in my dentist every 5 or 6 months getting a new gum shield. Because when you're a teenager and you're growing, obviously your mouth's changing all the time, so the gum shield fits are quite regular. So I started taking a little bit of interest in what he was doing, because my school was saying, have you looked at dentistry, have you looked at medicine? So I did some work experience with him. And he sold me the dream, mate, really.
Right.
I was into business. I always knew I wanted to be into business.
Right.
It was never like I want to be a dentist because I'm going to look around someone's mouth and every day. That obviously I fell in love with the satisfaction you can get from doing like extreme smile makeovers and changing people's lives, and I still love that element. But it was always the fact that I can take on this good career, long time in uni, but then I can mould something for myself from a business point of view, and I knew that straight away.
Right.
So that's why I chose dentistry. Really, it was a blend of a few different things that I thought I could really put my own stamp on it.
And so then, what was the next stage? So you become a dentist. You went to uni. You studied. You become a dentist. And where are you working at this point?
So when you come out of dental school, you usually do like an extra training year called VT, where you're a dentist, but you've got like a trainer who sort of like checks everything that you're doing for a year, and then you do what you want to do. So I've done that, and then I stayed on, I think, part-time in that place, and then moved to a mixed private practice. But in the build-up to all this, so while I was in uni, I went to the States for a month to do some just some like extra training and observations in America, and that opened my eyes to the way it was done over there. And I really liked, you know, big setups, lots of specialists under one building, and people the dentists in America had that special interest. So it's either cosmetic or endodontics or orthodontics, and they focus more on a specialised area expertise, whereas in the UK, you're a dentist, you just do a little bit of everything. You're jack of all trades, master of none almost. So I loved that, and I knew that's the sort of setup I wanted to have. So I come out of uni and I had that vision in my mind, and I started building clients early the first course I did on literally the week after I qualified as a dentist was Botox and fillers. And that was a strategic move as well. One, because it gave me an opportunity to earn some decent money quickly, because as a junior dentist, you're not earning that much. So I was straight into that sort of private client market. And then I was building rapport with people around the city. I had good connections around the city, so it gave me instant access to these people with a treatment that they trust me with. So I was doing that solid for about 3 years, traveling around salons and just building this big client list as me training in dentistry kept improving. Because you come out after 5 years of uni, your dental skills are basic. It's what you do after. So then I heavily invested in myself in the training with a focus towards, you know, restorative, cosmetic, implant dentistry, got all those extra training under my belt, and then gained the confidence then to convert all those clients I've been building in the little Botox market community to start coming into me to have some, you know, cosmetic dentistry done, because it's the same client, isn't it, essentially? So by the time I was 3 years qualified, I was ready to go then and started looking for a practice to buy.
Right. When you was at dental school, I remember becoming an accountant, and I remember looking around the room of all the people that I was becoming an accountant with, and I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in. I felt like, from my perspective, because the traditionalist accountancy is like mum and dad says, be a teacher or an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor or a dentist, you know, it's that kind of thing. So I was in a room with a load of people that I felt like were existing to do something because mum and dad had said, just get a profession. You know, and they all had most of them weren't working class.
They weren't hungry enough.
They weren't, none of them were working class, right? I used to look round and think, this is fucking boring. These lessons, this is drab. I had no mates in that kind of. There's one guy who I can remember to this day in a semi-keeping contact with, but there would be nobody else, because it was kind of really an old-fashioned industry, and people who had old-fashioned ideas went in them. Is that what it was like?
Exactly the same. I stayed at Liverpool, so I didn't have to change nothing about my life. It wasn't uni life for me. It was just an extension of going to school, finishing, going to the gym, going out with my own mates over weekend. No uni life whatsoever. So same as you, it didn't fit in. And you're looking at these people and they haven't got the hunger or the drive you've got, because most of them the dad's a dentist already or the doctor, and they're just there to get a career because they've got to satisfy the parents. And then that was 90% of the same people in uni. So I was exactly the same. I was different. I was hungry. Those 5 years in uni was just a means to an end to me, to get the certificate so I can go and do what I intended to do.
Yeah. When you set up your first practice then, was that the one that I originally came
Brody.
to see you with?
Yeah.
When you set up that, it was a bit more of a traditional looking ex-house kind of setup, which is what most or a large chunk of dentists are. At that point, when you get in there, have you got a vision for what you think it's going to become, or you don't know at that stage?
No, I definitely had the vision. I should probably. I'm a big vision person. You know what I mean? Like, I set large goals in my mind and like attack them hard. But it was also a nervous time. I was still quite young, and it wasn't what you call a squat setup. It was a purchase. So I was lucky because there was one dentist there. It was a private practice. He was already doing good quality, high level smile makeovers. He was a mentor of mine for the transitional period of a year as I was moving in. He was moving out, which was brilliant for me. But then I'm buying a business with a goodwill, which is basically his existing clients. Yeah. And he's a 55-year-old man, and I'm a 26-year-old, 27-year-old boy, and got to gain their trust. So at first it was about, okay, are these clients going to stick with me? And how many new clients can I find to build this business? But I knew it was, my focus weren't going to be keeping those satisfied. It was building my own clients and, like say, transitioning all those clients that are built in the Botox and fillers and giving them a place to come, and then using all my connections to really build this momentum. So that was the original goal. Let's just make a business and a good living out of this. That was 2012. By the time we got to,
was the motivator money at that point, or what?
Absolutely,
was it?
yeah. It was money. It was, I think I'd already just got a mortgage like the year before. I wanted a nice car, just the normal stuff. And that was 2012. And then I've got some key points in the journey. So we adopted digital dentistry very early on, 2014. So again, just like Instagram, digital smile design is something which now is everywhere.
Yeah.
When we adopted it as a practice 2014, the older dentists, the dinosaurs are like, oh, that's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Now it's like everything.
Yeah.
It's the infrastructure of all our planning that we do. But because we adopted that very early, we started to transition as a business and have these unique elements of how we do things from an experience point of view and a planning and execution point of view to start to stand out. Then came Instagram, which was a platform to showcase those things. And all of a sudden we were really different and we were capturing people's attention fast. And then that's when the hate comes in from the industry, because I've come from nowhere. I was busy dental practices in Liverpool, and within 3 or 4 years, we took over the city and everyone was talking about us.
Yeah.
Then it was time to take it to the next level and build, the dream place, which is where we are now.
Yeah. So you moved in, and I think it's like going in Dakota Hotel and getting your teeth done. Yeah, that's what it's like. What made you make that step? What made you think probably earning good money where you was, settled where you was? It was a bit more traditional and an environment because you inherited it and bought it. What made you think, sack this, I'm gonna
growth, mate? Like I knew early, by 2015, 16, I'm providing a great service. Everyone's asking for me. There's only so many hours in the day. I'm working 100 hours a week. I've got a 2-3-year-old boy, and I'm looking at 4 walls, and I knew then I'm bigger than better than this. If I'm going to do all these what I believe were great forward thinking things, I wanted it to be scalable. If it weren't scalable, what was the point? Like, I'm not small-minded where I think I can keep all this to myself. I can be busy 7 days a week until I'm 50 and earn an absolute fortune. That's just not the way I'm wired.
Yeah.
So that move, it was all about how do I grow and expand this practice and take all the reliability off my shoulders and give other people inspiration, motivation to, be a part of something much bigger. Yeah. And that's continued, as you know, we've built dental excellence in 2018, and now it's like, how do I let other practices be as successful as mine and help other dentists? Yeah. But at the same time, how do I make a business of that and make it in a scalable sort of new standardized fashion for the industry as a whole? And that's the new mission now, really. Yeah.
And that standard, I'm guessing that's getting replicated. We can talk about the actual same day smile and those concepts in a little second, but just the actual environment, there must be people seeing what you've done and just going, that's the way forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're popping up everywhere now.
Yeah.
We've almost raised the bar and proved to people that we've got 8,000 square foot in an industrial estate, mate. Yeah. Like, it was unheard of before we did it. Everyone thought you had to have, a highly built up residential area or on a high street. That was dentistry. Yeah. And we just completely spun that on its head. Yeah. And now, people are taking those concepts and doing them. And that's I don't hate on that. I'm very proud that people are essentially copying what we've done. Like, I love that fact, because it's great for the industry and it's great for the end user who are the patients and the clients. Yeah. It's standardizing a new experience at the end of the day. Because, what was the experience before? It was shocking. It was shocking. And that was a big frustration of mine, like moving into dentistry, learning about all these modern techniques and technologies, people paying 20 grand to get the teeth done, and then turning up to a building which looks like it hasn't been decorated since 1950. Yeah. It made no sense to me. Yeah. So to see it all changing now it's fantastic.
Yeah. You've got a lab, haven't you? And I would say probably one step further behind the curve that dentist practices are is dental labs, like they're old school.
Yeah.
So talk us through the lab and how that developed and what that looks like now compared to.
So when we moved, one thing that I wanted was, you know, a good, well-protocoled, standardized quality control, which I can teach any dentist in my business, and we all follow the same stages and we all get the same outcomes. Otherwise, you've got a patient turning up and saying, I want Robbie because his work's better than his work. Goes against the whole you know, purpose of what we're trying to do. So it was about standardizing quality control. The only way we can do that is we bring the lab in-house. So we brought the lab in-house and we're putting all the protocols in place, and things are improving all the time. Even to present day, we're changing materials. We're doing a lot of R&D all the time. As that grew and as we did what we did in 2018, no one really knew of me inside the dental sector because my focus was always the patients. But then when we made all this noise, just getting bombarded with questions like, you know, how did you do this? What you do about marketing? What's your digital workflow? So I thought I can create an education platform on this and just tell people, you know, there's no, what good is it to the industry if they're all my secrets? I don't think that way. So I didn't want to make money from education because I don't see myself as a great public speaker and wanting to just train dentists all day, every day. So I thought the best way to make a business of this is I'll teach them and I'll give them the answers and the workflows, but then they become lab customers for life. So took that on in 2019. The lab started growing and outgrew itself. So then I had to obviously scale up the lab. So the lab is an extension of Dental Excellence. So we redesigned the lab. And again, it had to be an extension of the experience. You don't want to go into an old lab like what people expect the lab to be when it's an extension of what we've just built. So I had this like chef's kitchen type vision in my mind where the patients can walk in and they can look through the glass window. So we've built it like a cube in a room, all glass. And the lab's in there and it's ultra clean. And they hate me for it because labs are supposed to be dirty, but mine's spotless. And the patient can come in and just, you know, see what we do and be a little bit a part of their journey and the manufacturing process. And then they go upstairs on the mezzanine and we sit down on a couch and we put the smile design on the screen and you can start to customize the smile. So again, completely just flip the whole lab experience on its head. And again, now you're seeing labs get built inside dental practices and trying to give the same experience, which is great. But the purpose of the lab was to allow us to grow and almost create another business, which is now the dental lab, which supplies all services to dentists who we've trained. We don't supply to anyone else. You've got to be trained by us first, which is important for me.
And as you're developing this, what's the dental industry think of Robbie?
Mixed. It's mixed. I think
Why do you think it's mixed?
It's people, mate. Big egos, big ambitions, small minds. You've got people like that who want to think that their hands are the best and every patient should go to them. But that's, for me, is a very small mind. We've got technology at our fingertips now, which can raise the standard for everybody, make the dentist life easier, make the outcomes for the patient more quality controlled, and everything just gets better as a whole. But that takes a full community approach, and that's what we're trying to build. So some people love it and support it and are motivated and inspired by what we've done, and we're trying to create ways where I'm trying to create a fast track for another young dentist who what's took me 10, 15 years, I can build that for them in 4. You know, just join us, you know, and go and do your own thing, but let us support it. So it depends on people's outlook on how they see it as a threat. Some people see it as a threat because it goes against the grain to the way they do things, and we're trying to educate the general public now on like it can be done this way, which is faster, better, quicker, easier than the way you think it used to be done or should be done. So people don't like that, obviously.
No. So today you've got your lab, you've got your practice, you've got different brands, haven't you? You've got your avant-garde, you've got your same day. So your avant-garde is your training.
So the avant-garde is the training and the concepts, all the concepts that we I don't train anything if I haven't proven it in my own business. So it's basically just training the concepts and the blueprints and the protocols of what we do to other dentists to go and implement into their business and allow us to support that with the lab. I think that's the critical point. Yeah. So we've done that, and that's developing really well. We've trained about 500 dentists to date, and the lab's growing on the back end of it, which is great. So my next part is I'm trying to create a product what Avant-Garde represents, which the customer understands. And that's same day smile. So it's basically same day smiles. Everyone knows what Invisalign is, for example. Yeah. Invisalign is a product. It's a clear aligner system for moving teeth. Yeah. There's hundreds on the market. People only know Invisalign. Yeah. Yeah. And that's because it's trusted. For me, I want the same day smile to become the Invisalign for smile makeovers. Yeah. So, you want a smile makeover, and if you do it, if you do it, or you buy this product, it's done in a very rigid, well-protocol, well-planned way, and it's done by a certified dentist who follows the same standard. So you can go anywhere you like and you're getting that same product. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to create, because patients are terribly confused. Everyone knows about all the horror stories about Turkey and whatever else. And we can moan about that all we want as an industry. Yeah. But it's our job to change it. It's our job to provide the education and the awareness and the accessibility in the UK to give the patients a better solution. And some of that comes with affordability. So again, I'm not going to be liked by the industry, but I'm trying to drive the price down. Mm-hmm. And the way I'm driving the price down, or I'm going to try to drive the price down, is to make it more accessible for a higher volume of patients. And because we're using technology which speeds up the process massively, we're changing, we're doing procedures now in 2-3 hours, what would usually take 8 to 9 hours in one visit rather than 2 visits. Yeah. And if we can sort of get enough dentists adopting those systems, we're hopefully going to create a big shift in all those factors which I believe need to be moved forward. You mentioned the consumer there, right? What do you mind me asking? What was your smile like as a kid? Average. Right. Average. I never had braces, and I probably should have. Yeah. Which is, same old story in the UK, really. Yeah. And I would never say I was bothered about my teeth, but it was never nothing special. My teeth was a mess. So when I was a kid, my teeth was a mess. I had to go once and have like 11 teeth out in one. Oh, wow. In one, I was about 9. So they'd all misgrown. I can't remember the thing, but they put me to sleep and I had about 11 teeth taken out. So then when my teeth grew, I don't think I needed a brace because they managed to sort out what they needed. Yeah. But there was a gap between my teeth. And I fucking hated that gap. I hated that gap. And I bet you, it's funny because I reckon, what am I now, 44? Up until 37, 38, you won't find a picture of me where I smile. You just won't find it, right? Because there was a thing, and I don't know where it was, but it was in my mind all the time, subconscious. I wouldn't smile. I just wouldn't smile, full stop. And you think I would have gone to the dentist there for my checkup, a normal dentist, every 6 months, from the age of 15 to 37, and not once did the dentist ever offer me anything, nothing at all. They never asked me, was it important? They never asked me, well, they asked, what was it like for your confidence? And then I met my missus, who you know, because she had her smile done at yours, and we was getting married. She said, you've got a fucking smile on your wedding day. You've got a smile. You're not standing on these pictures like with no smile whatsoever. And then I was like, oh yeah, but I don't want one of these like Joey Essex was on the TV. Probably. I was like, I can't be a Joey Essex. It's not my style. And she was like, no, it doesn't need to be like that. So I obviously came to you. It would have been, I don't know, 6 years ago. I went in and I came out, 2 hours later with a smile. And I remember driving home and you like look in the mirror and I'm looking in the mirror in my car and I'm thinking, fucking hell. And it took me then about 3 or 4 days to get used to it. Yeah. And I'd made sure that I'd had him at a point where I thought, I don't want to go too white, where it's too noticeable because I've not smiled for ages. I've still got to feel like him. But what the point of that story was, one, I could not believe, one, you could change your smile like that. 2, it wasn't that expensive, right? It wasn't dead cheap, but it wasn't ridiculous amounts of money, nowhere near.
And regardless of the amount of money, it's like game changing.
Yeah,
it's a game changing scenario.
Yeah.
When people are saying, can you take a picture, and you really don't care. I used to cringe when there'd be a point where somebody would go, oh, you need to get in this picture. Because I'd be looking all moody regardless of the situation, so that I didn't show my teeth. By the way, my teeth at this age, they weren't like they was when I was 10. Then they were like all over the show. But literally, I would just have a sliver of a gap that I just detested for whatever reason. And so the difference in confidence that it gives you, I probably for 1 or 2 weeks thought about my teeth, and then I've never thought about them since.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And that subconscious element that you, like you say, I see it all the time. People are like, smile. I never smile. I don't know. Don't like it. And then like you say, the partner usually goes, you'll never smile. And it's a subconscious thing that you've built up over the years. Yeah. And all of a sudden, bang, it's reversed. And then it within weeks, you literally found a natural smile. And
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's amazing.
And I can see it now in other people.
Yeah.
So now I can see other people's pictures, and I think I can understand what's going through their mind.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, bringing it back again to the industry, is the industry never once educated me to go, for X amount of pounds, you can go in, there's no pain, right? There's no injections, there's no filing. Yeah. It was literally go in, watch the TV above it in your place, watch the TV, they're doing some stuff with your mouth, and then an hour and a half later you come out. And do you know what I mean? You've got a smile. And also, I had a smile that I didn't then therefore feel too conscious was too Joey Essex.
Yeah, it's still very customizable, isn't it? Which is important. And it's all about how we communicate it to get to that end point. But like you say, education's a big flaw in our industry still. And the only language really, like all those years you went, the only language you're really going to be switch on to when the dentist starts talking to you is aesthetics. As soon as they start talking about, I can make you look and feel better, you're going to already, like, that's the only thing people are interested in. So, in general, that dentist, your dentist who was senior all those years, all we had to ask was a simple question. Sure. Do you like this gap or not?
I know.
Like, does it bother you? And you went, no, why? Can you fix it? And, all of a sudden, light bulb moments, isn't it? But it just never happens or doesn't happen enough still.
No. Mental. Yeah. Well, I'm not your most famous patient. You've done plenty, haven't you?
I've done quite a few, yeah.
You've done. How did you get involved, and who was your first then? Who started that? How did you get into?
So in the football, I think it was Lucas and Martin Scato were the first two Liverpool lads that we seen. So I had I'm sure Lucas lived close to the practice, and he'd already been in, and then obviously the changeover happened when I took over the business, and he came in again, and we just got on. Yeah. So then after probably the same sort of thing, because I actually spoke about little things that we could probably help him with. Yeah. And then he sent the Brazilians in, and then the Brazilians just, the famous or infamous smile of Bobby Firmino, that put us on the map in many ways.
How many years ago did you do that then, Firmino's?
Must have been about 6 or 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, about 2015 or 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that raised a lot of awareness because it was such a extreme smile makeover. Then the Liverpool players have always just kept coming in. Yeah. Then obviously Jurgen came in, which was another big moment for us, because what was great about Jurgen is people obviously noticed because it was a big transformation. I always tried to remain confidential, obviously. Yeah. But Jurgen spoke openly about his smile makeover, which was fantastic for me, really. Yeah. So that was great. And then they just come in dribs and drabs. It's awareness, and then it's Instagram, and that's just how it grows, isn't it? Really. Yeah. But in that little niche market, like once you've got one or two, sure, you're respected by the others, and then the others want to go to the place to be almost, and then it grows really, and that's just how it happened.
It's great. It's great for business. Well, if you look at your Insta again, you've got a mixture of. Sometimes when people are talking about the smile, and I mention you guys, I have to get the Instagram out, because first thing people start doing is they start thinking, oh, you're going to file my teeth down to little points. It's going to be 10 grand for porcelain veneers or whatever it is nowadays, and or sometimes the mouth's a mess, and they think, you can't do anything with this. Look at the state of this. Yeah. And I go, just give me 2 minutes.
A lot of barriers, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. And I flick through yours and I go, That look at the before and after, and they go, fuck off, they haven't done that. And I go, no, you can walk in with that and you've walked out with that. Not always, but some of it is same day, as I've just said. But they can't understand, again, probably lack of education.
Yeah.
So, but there must be somewhere they walk in, the patients. It must be quite emotional sometimes when they walk out.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
So we have an appointment. We have try to simplify things. We almost try to make it a 3-step process now that like everyone can grasp and like work towards and be motivated by. So the 3-step process is, one, obviously consultation. We understand what your needs are. We talk about what your options are. And, you know, people all only really want to know at that point is, can you fix me? How much is it going to cost and how long is it going to take?
Yeah.
And, you know, have I got 1 or 2 different ways of doing it based on cost usually? So you leave with that information. Appointment 2 is the game changer. That's called the mock-up appointment. So we take all the data from appointment 1 and we go and design a smile in our software. And then we 3D print an end result smile and we basically snap it on over your own teeth.
Okay.
And you get to visualize how that smile will look at the end. And it's pretty accurate. There might be a few little shifts or changes if we have got to move or drill down teeth, but it's pretty instant and accurate. Like, do you like it? And then you've got the customization of that if you want. So that's the part when people cry, literally like, wow, that's the wow factor, because within 2 minutes, you got your smile and then bang, bang, you're seeing your dream smile in your mouth. At that point, that's when we book the next 1, 2, whatever it is to get to that end result. Yeah. But then we were reverse engineering that process. There's the end. We've started with the end in mind. Now we're going to get to that result for you. Yeah. And often it's only 1 more appointment, like we do, same day smile. You're in, you do it, and you've got it. But that middle appointment, like you say, that's the overwhelming one when you see it so instantly. Yeah. That's really overwhelming, and you know, you see tears all the time. It's crazy. Yeah.
On the other side, is there any sort of athlete or musician or entertainer or celebrity coming that you've ever been like starstruck by or not?
Not really, mate.
I thought, fuck, I can't believe I'm actually.
Yeah, not really, to be honest. No. I'd like to say, yeah, but not really. You know, I obviously I'm privileged to have them there, and we try to give them a great experience, all of them. And I try to have that, you know, connection and mutual respect with them. I think that's important, and you get that respect back sometimes when you just like treat them like a normal person. But I'd never get overwhelmed, and once I'm past that initial consultation and like we're past those barriers, I'm focused on my job then. You know what I mean? And then at the end, I only get photos and things at the end. I never, you know, not that first visit. It's like, I'm here to be a professional and do my job. Once I've delivered, then I might ask for a picture or a post on Instagram or whatever. But, you know, it's the delivery as a professional, which is the most important thing. And you can't afford to get overwhelmed because you're just putting pressure on yourself. To deliver, really. In
terms of you mentioned before, you started to do because you wanted a nice car, you wanted nice things. How's that evolved over the period?
Massively. Obviously now there's kids involved and your family, and that changes your perception of how you want to grow and what you want to build. But now, you know, I've seen the power of what I can do for the industry. You know, I've seen the power of, you know, I can create things. I have a great vision. I can create things, and I know like it's all for a good purpose. Like, I'm trying to change and reform this industry for the better, for a new standard of quality and experience for the patients, and that's become my new motivation. And that comes with obviously building my business to be, you know, the new standard, and then helping other businesses and other practices grow to that new level, so that it just becomes a new expected level. And now I'm not going to do that for free, and I have to think of ways of how that scalability becomes a great business decision for me, and it's all based around a good exit strategy, obviously. But that's all coming from a passion now. It's not like I've got to do this because I want to exit for 50 million in 10 years and I've just got to find a way to get to that number. That's all gone now. Like, I've got a vision and a passion and a goal, and everything else will be built around that.
You talk about passion, and passion's great, but it comes at a cost, doesn't it? The cost of passion is you never stop thinking about your passion. What's it like for you?
Non-stop, mate. Yeah. Like, I'm a fan of WhatsApp group chats because I feel like I'm speaking to multiple people at once rather than 5 people delivering the same message. But I feel sorry for people in those group chats because it'll be 10, 11, 12, 6 in the morning. Whenever I've got something on my mind, I have to dump it on there. And there's always something on my mind. You know, so I've got probably about 25 active group chats, which are all based around my businesses and my ideas on my phone, and I bombard them daily.
Yeah.
But I have to dump them somewhere, then I know that my team around me can deliver. And that's definitely the price to them or the price to me. It's non-stop thinking.
The thing about you is, because I have seen what you've done, you've got that passion. Some people have got that passion, right? And some people have got the ideas, same as you. But there's very few people that've got the ability to execute them. You must have people in your industry that think, oh, I'll fucking go off and copy this. Or You must see it all the time where people, not all the time, but you must see it where people go off and they've either worked for you or they just look from outside in and think it's easy to do.
Yeah.
And the hard part is the execution. Is there plenty of that around?
All the time, mate. Yeah. It's a shame as well.
Yeah.
You know, part of my business is to try to build people who become very successful in their own right, obviously, but to become part of something great.
Yeah.
Like you say, passion, vision, and execution, without sounding big-headed. You're not going to find many people in my industry who've got all 3 to the level that I have. And unfortunately, people don't see the big picture. They see, you know, they see the chief and they're the Indian and they want to be the chief. And inevitably, they're only letting themselves down, in my opinion.
Do you think you get misunderestimated? I get quite aggrieved sometimes that I feel like people think that I'm or we're as an organisation are all about bars and having fun and drinking. And I think what I get sometimes angry with what they don't see is there is that part.
The bit that they don't see, yeah.
But the part that they don't see is the tenacity and that meticulous obsession with getting it right.
You've got to be relentless in your approach. If you make a decision on something, you're going to do something. I'm not sleeping until it's done. You're totally relentless. And people outside my business that don't realise that, again, will try and replicate it and do it. Good luck, and if I can help you, like, let me help you, because, you know, I've made loads of mistakes that I can prevent you from making. That's one element. But then, you know, there's that almost like competitiveness that people I want to do it bigger and better, and it's just like, don't need to be that way, really. Because people don't see, like you say, like the hard work and effort. That the hard part in my industry now, harder than it was 5 years ago, is getting bums on seats in the first place. You know, because the way our business is set up, we're looking for new patients, not existing patients, new patients every single day. And when there's more accessible things all around, then it's harder to convert those patients when you can go down the road for a little bit cheaper or whatever else. But that's almost like the environment that I've created, that competition for myself, which is also great because someone's benefiting somewhere along the line. And, you know, if you want to look at it as competition, then so be it. But,
how do you, coming on to you again, how do you handle the situation? How do you handle the passion that means that you're 24/7? How do you have some downtime? What do you do?
Most of it just, it's hard, mate. It's hard to switch off. I try to switch off when I'm with my kids. You know that, and like I'm quite well structured in my diary time, as in like when I'm with my kids. That's my little pockets of downtime to switch off.
You're not on your WhatsApp group. You're not on your phone.
I'd never say I'm not, but I do try.
Yeah.
I try to switch off or leave it, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd be a liar if I said that I don't have moments when my kids are telling me to get off my phone.
Yeah.
And you get that wake up call, don't you? Then you feel guilty for it. But that's a message you've got to have that downtime with the people that are important to you. Absolutely.
Yeah. And for your own self, because that's other people still. Most people like us, it's like there's work, there's other stuff, but there's also that part that's like what do you do for yourself? Do you
Yeah.
give yourself
Not
that
enough.
time or not?
Not enough. Definitely not enough.
Do you still kickbox or anything like that?
No.
Train?
No, I train in the mornings,
Yeah.
usually about 3 or 4 mornings a week. It's socially just like, the level I was training in the kickboxing to now, like, it doesn't compare.
Yeah.
And I can't find that motivation, to be honest. But it's a little bit of me time in the morning. I like that peace in the morning. And then the other times, again, it's all sort of, when I do things socially for me, which I enjoy, like, nice dinners or meeting with friends or whatever, it's always got that link back to work or meeting or finding new clients or opening new doors. Like, that's always the agenda really in my mind. So there's very little time where anything I'm doing, other than when I'm with my kids, hasn't got a little spin on it, which is career building, which is nuts really.
Yeah. We're coming towards the end now. What does the future look like? What's driving you now, and how old are you?
38.
38. So you've got plenty of time yet. But what do you see the immediate future, and then further down the line?
Just more growth, mate. I feel, I don't know what with yourself, you have these little sort of moments, you hit certain landmarks, and then, you're always thinking like, what's next? I feel like now, only very recently in the last few months, like, I've been building Avant-Garde, and the concept of same day smiles has been so new and fresh in my mind, and like, I've got it. And all the hard work of the elements that I've been doing with the lab and all these things, I feel like we've got a full vertical business strategy, and I feel like that's finally become very scalable. So for the first time probably in a couple of years, I feel like I've got a new clear direction again. So that'll be me now for the next 4 to 5 years, to build something to a level where I feel like it's right.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that scalability, I don't think it's ever been done before truly in dentistry. So if we get it right, that could be international, it could be IPO level, like, who knows? So that's driving me a lot at the minute, because it's a brand new concept. So it's a new baby to me, really.
And you think that nationalisation, if it's across the UK, is done by having more hubs like the one you've got, or is it just educating the industry, or both?
Yeah, it's both. Yeah. So the way I see it is, I'd like to continue to see Dental Excellence as the leading brand in the UK. That will mean more sites, firstly, and I think that's always got to represent the gold standard. And then what I see is hopefully other little satellite sites everywhere, where it's other dentists with their own business, but they sort of like plug in like a mini franchise, or a mini sort of like license to be a same day smile clinic, and then we'll just feed them patients, because I love marketing, as you know. So if I can take that same day smile and take that as a national campaign of marketing, and then use that to help other businesses by delivering the clients to them through our marketing channels, they obviously pay like a subscription to. I think that could work really, really well, and then you're almost creating a bit of a monopoly, really, for, you want a smile makeover, where'd you go? It's one of these clinics, like what Invisalign has done for clear aligner market. I'd like to do that for the smile makeover market. I think it's crying out for it. I think it's crying out for it. So that's the plan.
Brilliant. Well, listen, mate, thank you for coming in. Really appreciated it.
Mate, my pleasure.
Thank you. That's the end of today's podcast, and thank you for coming in. Best of luck with everything.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.